If you are trying to become a better marketer, whether it's for someone else's business or for your own, and you're not looking at direct mail, you're missing out. The reason is because direct mail is kind of the big leagues, right? So people who send direct mail, they typically have to test with a lot of units at a time. And they can't easily start and stop campaigns. And so when you see direct mail pieces, especially ones that recur over and over again, or that occur in themes, you want to take note of that because they've likely tested it and they know that it gets great results. Anybody can run ads. Not anybody can do direct mail. And so what we're looking at here is a Renewal by Anderson sales letter that came in the mail. And it's a very simple one-pager with an offer. And you can see, based on just looking at it for a few seconds, it appears handwritten. It doesn't feel like a piece of marketing material at first. Once you look at it for a couple seconds, you realize, okay, this is trying to sell me something. But all it needs to do is capture you long enough so that they can get their offer in front of you. And so handwritten things typically do that very well. And so a lot of times you'll see handwriting on direct mail. So pay attention to that when you're looking through just random spam that comes through your mail. A lot of times it will have at least some handwriting on it. And that is not by accident. It's to stop you in your tracks so that you at least spend a few seconds skimming over what this is and deciding whether or not it's for you. Nobody writes handwritten things anymore. It's all printed out, bank statements and bills and things like that. And so when you get something handwritten, it does make you stop for a second. And the way to think about that, if we were to go over to digital ads, are things that stop the scroll, right? And so sometimes what you'll see on an ad is you'll see it like a screenshot of Apple Notes, or it'll look like some piece of organic content. And so they're disguising it as something that you know, that you trust, so that you don't feel like it's an ad. And it doesn't need to feel like that the whole time, but just for those first couple seconds, that's how you just stop the scroll. And that's a hard thing to do. So if you can do that, then you have a chance to at least communicate your offer to that person. Once you get the attention, you want to look at your sales letter or your ad as something that will be skimmed. And so this is where I think a lot of people get stuck, is they think that they have to write something that flows really nicely from start to finish. And the reality is that people will skim everything that you put out. And if during their skimming, they decide that they want to learn more, then they'll go back. And so this is why people will look at long form sales letters or sales pages and they'll be like, this is way too much stuff. The person that I'm looking for will never read all of this stuff. They'll never, get through all of it. It doesn't matter. The goal is to present them with all the information that they need to get them to take action. Now with ads, that's a little bit different, right? For this is more of a sales letter. For ads, you might, try to shorten it a little bit. But even then, we see in tests that long form ads will outperform short form ads because they're giving more information. And so if people are sitting there consuming more information, they're getting their questions answered. And by the time they click through, they're actually a higher quality click. So that's, with ads, all clicks are not created equal. Some clicks are more likely to take action than others. And the same thing is true when you get to create online sales pages, is that if you are not answering all the questions that someone might have on your sales page, one of two things will happen. They will either leave the page because they couldn't get their question answered, or they might actually click to check out and buy whatever this is, and then they'll abandon the checkout because they're not convicted. They're not sold completely on this offer because they still have unanswered questions. And so with something like Anderson, you can see they're using the strategic use of font sizes, they're using bolding, they're using circling, they're using highlighting to call attention to certain aspects for the first skim through. And so the first thing that pops out to me was 40% off. You might drift up here to March 31st day sale. You might go down here to, just these sort of 3 no's. And so there's no risk. They're reducing risk for you. Hurry. There's urgency here. And then plus, you're also getting this. This is kind of a bonus for this offer. And then finally, at the bottom, scan to schedule online. And you have a QR code. So it's clear what this is, who it's for, what the benefits are, the urgency behind it, the reason to take action, and finally, what you need to do next. And so just having that information, just that high level information of what it is, who it's for, reason to take action, and exactly what to do to take action. Those are really the things that need to be brought to the forefront. So that's why they're using things like highlighting, things like bolding. And if you can do that, you can basically force someone to do one of 3 things. One is, okay, I'm going to crumple this thing up, throw it away. If it's an online ad, I'm going to keep scrolling. That's option 1. So that they decide this is not for me. And that's okay. If we can disqualify people at the front end, that's actually a good thing. The second thing that they'll do is they'll keep reading. So they'll go into, the fine print here. They'll go into the bullet points. They'll read the first line. They might flip this over for details. And then the third thing is they'll just scan. They'll scan to schedule and learn more because they already have the information they need and they know that they need this. You want to create something with your sales page or with your ad where someone who knows that they need something now can take action easily. They don't have to spend a lot of mental energy. But for those who are maybe not as convinced, that long form copy, the rest of the copy in here that's not like bolded or highlighted or all this, is designed to support and help you make the decision, right? And so some people are ready right away. They just need a key amount of information to scan this. Other people, maybe they need a little bit more information. But either way, you're kind of forced into one of those 3 buckets: is move on with your day, keep reading, or take action. And that is why this is a successful piece of direct mail. And so this is something where the principles can be taken into a lot of different forms of online, right? So I mentioned ads, I mentioned sales pages, even emails, when you write emails. And the last piece I'd like to, kind of call attention to here is just this first line. This first line is so subtle, but so important. We are working on installation projects in your neighborhood. So a lot of times there's very little trust when you find something in the mail these days, or you find an email or anything like that. And so this first line here is kind of designed to disarm somebody and help them understand that, we're not sending this to you for no reason. We happen to be in the neighborhood doing work in your neighborhood. And so we just kind of threw this into your mailbox. That's the implied meaning behind this line. And so when I used to work in door-to-door sales, one of the things that we would say towards the beginning of the script was, hey, we just finished up some work in the neighborhood, and that's why we're here. We're here because we did some work just down the road. And just that little line it's able to disarm somebody because it's not for no reason that we're here, right? We're here for a specific reason. We just happen to be in the neighborhood. And oftentimes it was true, right? You don't want to straight up lie to people, but you can kind of keep it vague in that way. But then the second thing it does is it just gives a little bit of social proof that, like, hey, other people in your neighborhood are doing this already. You're not the first one to have to try this. I can tell you right now with social proof, the reason it's so effective, one of the reasons is because almost nobody wants to be the first to try something. They want to know that someone else has used it and liked it. Everybody, no matter what they say, most of the time people don't want to be like the pioneers, right? The pioneers are the people with the arrows in their back, or whatever that saying is. And so don't make them be the pioneer. Make them see that, you know, there's a path that's already been, a trail that's already been blazed for you. And so that is why I like this a lot. That's why I wanted to pull this up and show this. And yeah, I mean, try out some of these things. Try out some of these high-level concepts for ads, for emails, for sales pages, and you can have a lot of success. And also just pay attention to other pieces of direct mail that might come across your mailbox. You might start to look at them, you know, in different ways. Instead of like just throwing them away, getting annoyed by them, take a moment and just like really think about, okay, what's going on here? What's happening here? What are they doing? And you'll start to see the patterns here. You'll start to see what are people using kind of across the board. And that's going to help you become a better marketer, whether you do direct mail or you do things in the digital landscape.